¿Cómo estás, people? And welcome back to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Jay Real. Welcome to our Friday edition of the show. We're really excited. We have a lot of sports to cover, but we're going to focus mainly on the NBA. Why? Because it's the playoffs. Things are heating up, not just with the Heat, but with a lot of teams that are in the playoffs right now throughout the NBA. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the big topic of the week, which is the Heat getting beat by the Bulls the other night. And as we predicted right here, Jay Real predicted, the Heat got poked, they got embarrassed, and what did they do last night? They came back and they just stomped all over the Chicago Bulls. Now, not only did they win, but they broke records. That's right. The Bulls had the biggest defeat in their history in the playoffs, and the Miami Heat had the biggest deficit that they have won by in the playoffs. So you can go to either side, one being good for the Heat, one being very bad for the Chicago Bulls. Now, what does this mean for the rest of the playoffs? We're going to go ahead and stay with our initial assessment of this. The Bulls are just too beat up. All of their superstars are hurt, from Luol Deng, Rose, and their point guard. So right now, the Bulls are running off of their bench. Their bench is basically their starting five right now, besides if you took out Joakim Noah. Now, what does this mean going forward? Well, there are no games tonight. The NBA's taking a break. But starting again tomorrow, here we go with more playoff action. The Heat are going to still run over the Bulls. Now, this is what everybody's big conversation is. This is what all the sports talk shows are going on and on about, and it's been going on for months now, is Rose. Is he going to play? Is he coming back? He's been released by his doctor and been okay to play for months now by his own physical physician, his own doctor. Not team doctors, but his own doctor. This is all I have to say on the subject. I have seen champions and I have seen champion quality players for my whole life, basically, as an adult watching sports. Now, with Rose, I really like the guy coming out of college. He did very well. He actually won MVP awards. This is the problem with Rose. And I don't care who you are. All these sports announcers, all these sports guys talking about it, I think the one thing that they're forgetting about is competition. All we keep hearing about is that Rose isn't mentally prepared. His body is physically ready, but he's not mentally prepared. Again, this is just showing the lack and the quality of players in today's sports. This is a perfect example. You go back 20 years, you go back 15 years, you can go back as far as you'd like to go. Just get out of probably the last 5 to 10 years, and that is going to show you the difference in the quality of players, the superstars. Guys that unless their leg was removed would be on that court playing and putting their lives on the line for their team, their city, and to win. Now it just seems like it's all about money and self-preservation, I guess you could say. I don't care if Rose isn't mentally prepared. To sit there on the bench watching your team last night get the beat down that they got, I would be showing up today and I'd be pumping up my Jordans or Reeboks or whatever this guy is wearing on his feet, and I'd be ready to go to war. That beatdown they got at the hands of the Heat was embarrassing. It got totally out of control. And if I was Rose, that right here is the guy that you're going to see if he's a champ or has that championship quality in him, is when he hits the floor the rest of this series. If he does not suit up and play throughout the rest of this series, I personally, this is just my opinion here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show, will lose all respect for this guy. I will never appreciate anything he does from here on out, and I will not care about any of his memorabilia or anything that has to do with Rose. This is his opportunity to get up and get out on the court. All his guys are playing injured, sick. I mean, Joakim Noah, this guy's getting spinal taps before games to remove fluid from his spinal cord. For heaven's sake, give me a break. Rose should be ashamed of himself. And again, I don't care about any other sports guys going. And you've had other basketball guys coming out saying, oh, well, we don't know the mental capacity, what he's going through mentally. That's ridiculous. These guys are professional athletes that get paid millions of dollars a year to play a sport, and once you're cleared, your butt better be mentally prepared and be on that court. This is just an easy shut and close case for us here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I don't have to be an NBA player. I don't even have to be a sports guy. All I have to know is, even in my normal business, everyday life, when your team, when your company, when your department, when they need you and you care about them, you do what you got to do to get the job done. Look at your own personal lives. Unless you don't like what you're doing, unless you don't like the people that you work with, then you might not understand what I'm talking about. But if you care about your job, it can be anything, librarian, teacher, custodian, doesn't matter. If there's a group of you that are depending on each other to get the jobs done, then you understand if you care, because you show up sick, you show up hurt, you show up inclement weather, you're there because your team needs you on any level of job. And you know what I'm talking about if you truly care. So for everyone that's backing up Rose, saying that we don't understand, I say bull. That is a ridiculous statement. If he's cleared, his body is there, he should have his mind in the game. Come on, the guy's practicing every day. And I would even give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt if he got cleared yesterday to come back within a few days of play. This guy got cleared over 2 months ago. Over 2 months ago, the guy's been cleared, and he's been practicing, he's been dunking, he's been doing everything that you need to do as a player except grow a pair, get on the court, and help your team win. Without him, Miami's going to roll them again throughout this series, and they're going to sweep them from here on out. Good job for them winning on that first game, catching Miami off guard, catching them sleeping. But if they don't get their guys, all of them, Lu Deng, all of them, they all need to be playing. Sick, hurt, whatever. This may never happen for the Bulls again. It might take 10 years for them to get into the second round of the playoffs. You cannot take advantage, or you cannot let this opportunity pass you by. If you have the opportunity to win and to be a champion, or at least put the effort to be a champion, let's see it right now. These guys got to start playing, because if not, as we predicted last show, Miami's going to roll these guys the next 4 games. Chicago might get one in Chicago, but the series will finish out right there. They'll win 2 games, and Miami will win 4, so it'll be done in 6. Interested to see what happens, but that's our take on Rose, the Heat, and the Bulls. This is just getting very interesting. We'll be waiting to see if Rose shows the championship heart and gets on the court or not. It's up to him, his choice. Okay, now moving on to other news. In the last show, we were talking about MVP award, and LeBron James did win the MVP for this season, but we had one individual, one sports writer, to go against the norm. He went against everybody, because everybody else except this gentleman voted for LeBron James to be MVP. And we have to say kudos to that guy for not just running along with everyone like a zombie or a puppet and making his own mind off of facts of the NBA. Now, is it not easy to say that LeBron James is the best player in the NBA right now? It's very easy to say that. We can even go back and look over the couple of decades ago when Michael Jordan could have won 10 MVPs in a row. But what happened? Right away, people got bored of voting for Michael Jordan for MVP. Why? Because he could have got MVP every year. Fine, that's great. Here we're getting in a situation where LeBron James is obviously the best player, but as we stated, and a lot of other people have also stated, you take LeBron James off the Miami Heat, the Miami Heat are still a MVP, all-star staffed team. these guys would do just fine without LeBron James. Now, I'm not saying they would win championships. That's the key. You pull LeBron James out of there, they're still a playoff quality team. They still, in my opinion, would be a championship quality team. The difference is, as I stated last show, you put LeBron James on that team, and now it just spills over into an unbeatable team. If they really put their hearts and minds and efforts into playing, I don't think anyone can beat the Miami Heat in a 7-game series. That's why we've already projected here on this show that Miami Heat will win this year's championship game. They will win the championship. So, with that said, the gentleman's name is Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe. He was the one individual, and I'd like to say the name again, Gary Washburn from the Boston Globe. Props to you, buddy, for not going along with everyone else and just mindlessly voting for somebody and actually breaking it down. He voted for Carmelo Anthony because he felt Carmelo Anthony put his team on his shoulders and carried them to the promised land. So let's break this down. In 19 years, the Knicks have not sniffed a division championship. With Carmelo Anthony this season, even with their second, their number 2, that would be like LeBron James having Dwayne Wade pulled out of that roster for most of the season. The number 2, Stoudemire, number 2 guy on the Knicks, has been hurt pretty much all season long. I don't even know the total games he's played, but he's not playing through the playoffs. It's all Carmelo Anthony, and he's going forward, and he's pulling this team through like a championship quality guy should. So, big ups to Gary Washburn for, again, voting Carmelo Anthony. And again, I personally, if I had a vote, it probably would have been Kevin Durant from OKC. That's just the way I feel. Same way this gentleman felt about Carmelo Anthony, I feel the same way about Kevin Durant. This guy, Durant, for the last 2-3 seasons, has totally put this team, with the help of some good surrounding cast, of course. OKC has been in the playoffs and pushing for that championship for the last few seasons. So anyway, as we said last show, we wanted to get the gentleman's name and give him props. That's what we did. We want to bring you the facts before we get too deep into it, and this is what we wanted to come up with. So, we're not being foolish. We're not saying LeBron James is not the best athlete. It's just, how do you dictate what an MVP is? That's another big topic of discussion. Should it be just the overall best player in the league, or should it be the best player in the league for their particular team? That is up for discussion, but the way we feel about it, we feel it should be the best player that helps their team. Again, we could be wrong. That's up for discussion. Let us know what you think. Should it be MVP, just the overall best player in the league, doesn't matter if their team makes playoffs or not, or should it be best player to make an impact on their team? Hit us up, leave us feedback on the comment section, or you can hit us up on the Average Joe Sports Talk Show Facebook, and let us know what you think on this topic. Okay, we're not going to cut away to break. We're going to keep going because we have so much to discuss. We also got to discuss what's going on with Kobe Bryant. Just recently, he has filed in court a case against his mother. And it's sad to say, but we're going to look at this a little bit differently than what we've been listening to over all the radio and all the talk radio, sports talk radio. Everyone's getting on Kobe Bryant for filing a suit against his mother. Now let's look at this and look at the facts. From what we understand, the mother wanted to buy a summer home. She needed Kobe Bryant to cough up the money, and he offered up a certain amount of money. The mother, in turn, decides that that amount of money is not going to purchase the quality of house she would like to have. Now again, from what we understand, the reports are that this is not the main home. This is like a summer home or a getaway home. We're not even sure how many homes Kobe Bryant has bought for his mother. But we know that there have been homes bought for his mother. We know that there has been money given to his family because the guy's filthy, loaded rich. We understand that. So let's break this down. He offers the mom money. Here you go. Here's, $2 million to go buy you a house, whatever it is. The mother in turn says, what, are you kidding? That ain't going to work. I need 5 bathrooms. I need 10 bedrooms, and I want not only one pool, but I want another pool behind the guest house. Whatever she's asking for, she wanted more money. Kobe Bryant says, this is the budget I'm going to give you. Sorry, take it or leave it. Well, obviously she decides to leave it, because then what she does is she goes back to the home. Who knows? Maybe the original home they grew up in, they might own. Who knows? Regardless, she goes through all of his memorabilia. You're talking high school trophies, maybe even grade school stuff. Anything that had value, anything that has been on Kobe Bryant's body or that has been won by him is worth money. And reportedly it was worth a lot of money. So what does this woman do? She goes out and goes to an investment broker and just sells all of his old memorabilia from his youth, growing up. And he says, what? Are you kidding me? After the money I've given you, after I offered to give you money to buy a home, you're going to do this and you're going to pull this? I don't blame Kobe Bryant, for filing a suit saying, hey, I want my stuff. He, as he put it, he gave her no authorization to sell any of his items, any of his memorabilia. And in that case, he is right. So people are getting on Kobe Bryant. This is embarrassing. This is ridiculous. Why would you sue your mother? How could you sue your mother? What kind of mother takes your memorabilia from a youth, from an adolescent, from a young man, a high school athlete, college, well, never made it to college, high school, and say, you know what? He did not give me what I wanted, so now I'm going to go sell his stuff to get the difference and get the money I need to buy another house. What kind of mother does that? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go on Kobe's side here. Everyone else has been kicking rocks, kicking dirt on Kobe Bryant for suing his mother. We're going to say, you know what, why don't you guys kick rocks? Why don't you guys get taken advantage of and get just totally your whole history, your whole past of being an athlete just got sold to the highest bidder and see how you feel about it. That's ridiculous. Kobe Bryant has every right to get his stuff and have his mother unable to sell any more of his stuff. So kudos to you, Kobe Bryant, for sticking up for yourself and telling your mother, hey, be a mom, leave my stuff in the garage or in the closets, stop being a greedy, money-hungry woman, take what I offer you, and enjoy another 5 or 6 house, summer home that I provided for you. That's all we're going to say about that. Good job, Kobe Bryant, for sticking up for yourself and wanting to keep your history in your family. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move on real quick to give you some more. This is kind of a special on the playoffs. We just kind of got off track there with the Kobe Bryant story. We just had to bring it to you. Warriors end up beating the Spurs to tie the series 1-1. Now, this is an interesting series because this is the Spurs' last shot. We feel right here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. Why? The team is so old. They need to reboot, re-energize that team with some youth. And this is the last shot, I feel, for the big three on this team to make something happen. And they just got beat down last night by the Warriors. Warriors, on the other hand, a very energetic, youthful team. And they're exciting to watch. They're very fast, very good transition team. So we'll see. If the Spurs happen to blow this one, we're going to probably see the big three get broken up. Some people might retire. Some people might try to go do something somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe they'll all end up on the freaking Miami Heat so they can have more superstars and number 1 picks on their team. So moving on, Grizzlies end up taking care of Durant and OKC. Excuse me. The Grizzlies also very fast, very energetic team. And Durant is kind of doing this by himself. I feel bad for this guy. Just like I feel bad for Joakim Noah, I feel bad for Durant. He is basically doing all of this by himself. And I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb here, and it probably makes no sense to anyone, and they'll probably all say I'm full of crap. But I'm going to go ahead and say this. If Durant can somehow pull off a victory out of this series and go on to the finals, he's doing what LeBron James did do and could have done, in my opinion, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Put a team on his back, get a little more help down the road to establish his own team, his own franchise, his own legacy, and win a championship or two with his own team, instead of deciding to sell his soul and get shipped off to another number one team, already a championship team, just to cherry pick championships. So we are very much behind Kevin Durant, because if he can do this, then it just proves that you still have guys willing to stick it out with the same team, let a little bit of help come around you, and put the team on your back and take you to the promised land. So big ups to Kevin Durant. We'll just have to wait and see if he can do it. Moving on, Knicks with Carmelo Anthony decide to show up and put the ball in the hoops, and they get a game back from Indiana, tying up that series. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say something here about Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony got traded to the Knicks from Denver Nuggets, and there was already another big superstar there in Stoudemire. Stoudemire, though, again, just like most of the formulas that I've talked about, was on the downward spiral of his career. He wasn't in the prime. So Carmelo Anthony gets shipped over thinking, okay, me and this other big athlete, superstar here, with a few help of some other good pieces, can maybe try to make our big 3 or 4 guys and make a run at Miami. It's totally different. Miami got their guys in the prime. Not on their 3rd or 4th year extension on contracts, but the 2nd year. It's just amazing to me that people don't get this. So here we got poor Carmelo Anthony on a team that has nothing but old superstars at the end of their careers, and he's still able to win them a championship, a divisional championship. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, if he decides to stick it out with New York, make that his team, stick it out with the Knicks, and create an atmosphere that this is his team, that he's going to put these guys on his back and carry them to the promised land. Not because he got transplanted from another team with 2 or 3 already established number ones and then just roll over everybody like it's varsity playing against a bunch of Boy Scout or Girl Scout people. And this is what the Miami Heat's basically doing. What they did last night, it was almost like watching professionals play against high school team. That's how bad it was. So anyway, the Knicks are straight up there with the Indiana Pacers. But it's not going to be easy. The Pacers are also a very good and young team. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So that is our look at the playoffs right now. Again, no playoff games today, but we're excited to get them going again throughout the week and see what happens again with Rose, Chicago, and the Heat. But I'm serious. If Rose does not step up, I'm done with the guy. I have no respect for him if he doesn't show up. I don't care if the guy wins 5 championships in his rest of his career. Right now, is his opportunity to step up and be a leader of his team. We'll see if he does it or not. So real quick, we're going to go ahead and move on to the NFL. What's going on? The Grunkster. That's right. The Patriots tight end all-star Gronkowski has to have a 5th surgery on his forearm that was broken. Now what they're looking at is the tissue around the plate that was inserted to heal his bone has been getting infected. What they're hoping is that it's not infected again. They just got to make some adjustments, and then that way he'll be ready for the new season coming up. If there is infection in that plate, again, not a doctor by any means, but from what I've heard and what they've been talking about, is it's going to probably go into the season before he'll be ready to play, because they'll have to make a lot more adjustments, possibly even remove the plate and reset it with a clean one. Whatever, they're just hoping there's no infection, so that way he could be ready for the beginning of the NFL season. So we really have our prayers out for the Grunkster, as we like to call him. And then also in NFL news, just real quick, a Florida-based lawyer, a high-end lawyer there in Florida, has been putting out advertisements and doing talk radio in recruiting Tim Tebow to the Jags. That is correct. This guy has been on radio, live air, doing interviews, talking about how Tim Tebow's a winner. Tim Tebow led the Denver Broncos to a playoff win, again against my Steelers, and just lays out all his accolades and all his achievements over his career so far, and that he got totally jobbed last season by the Jets, and that if we give them, not we, but the Jags give them an opportunity there in Florida, that they'll be winners. What else do they got to lose because they weren't winners last year? So anyway, the guy comes out, does advertisements, does billboards, and excuse me, the GM for the Jags is still adamant that there is no way that they'd be interested in bringing Tim Tebow aboard on the Jags roster. So, just something fun I'll throw out to you all, that this is going on still with Tim Tebow and where he will land. And then in other lighter news in the NFL, Maxim magazine came out with, I believe, their top 100 beautiful people, and we hope and we pray that Manti Te'o has a sense of humor, because I believe in 46th position on that list, his fake girlfriend is listed there, and they have a picture of her in a bikini, I believe, or something. If you're interested in that, you can go online, take a look at Maxim magazine, see their top 100 beautiful people or something like that. But that was just a little bit lighter news. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the Friday show. We're glad you all tuned in. We hope you all enjoyed the NBA playoff information. And if you have any comments or feedback, please post there right at the bottom of the YouTube there. You can leave us some feedback, good or bad. Especially a lot of people give me heat about the Heat because I'm not their biggest favorite fan, or LeBron James. But I do respect him, and I do respect him as a player. He is very good, and he is great. So leave us feedback and comment. We also got to thank the Player Zone for hooking us up with the house and all this cool stuff. Facebook, or hit us up at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show, our Facebook page. Anyway, thank you all. Jay Real's going to say peace out. We'll see you next time. Jay Real. Jay